What have been the early impressions from Terrence's first couple weeks?
Not too big for him. He's got a good demeanor about himself. You can see that from the write-ups of our scouting staff and all that, what kind of guy he was. But then obviously the film speaks more for itself in terms of what he did at Oregon. He's just got a cool, calm, kind of swaggy demeanor about himself. Fitting in real well with these guys and just continue to get better.
It seemed like he kind of changed the reputation about him as a run blocker at the Senior Bowl. I'm curious, like, how you've seen him from the tape at Oregon to Senior Bowl now, like, kind of evolve in that aspect of his game.
Yeah, sure, you could say that. We're out here playing flag football, right? We're in street clothes, some helmets on, so I'm not going to evaluate that one way or the other, good or bad. You just want to see guys that are willing to get better in their fundamentals, and then when they are asked maybe once a day to go attack a defensive end without the pads on, just to still go for it. He's not shy.
How's it been working with Davante and Matthew and just that new kind of combination?
It's just cool to watch two vets north of 30, already kind of get a connection with each other, both off the field and on the field. So those two have got a lot of wisdom. They played a lot of good football, a lot of meaningful football, a lot of productive football. So it's I think it's been fun for both those guys.
What kind of stood out to you about Davante Adams?
I kind of have a past history with him, per se, of watching him from afar and somewhat knowing what was going on behind the scenes. Always had a ton of respect for him as a player and the way he went about things. He's a professional through and through. He's out here, he's working. No surprises, so just excited he's here.
Anything you learned from your brother at all on him that helps in this transition come to a new team?
Yeah, throw him the football.
That's easy.
Yeah, it's pretty simple with the guys that are talented. Find ways to get them the football, and I feel like we got a lot of those guys right now. I feel like it's just gotten a little bit more and more each year. So, I'd say that.
It's one thing to know his basketball background, as you said, you knew him from afar, and all the obvious with his brother. But being here, do you see his vertical different than what you see on tape, or anything that he's doing here is different than what you see on tape?
Yeah, just this, anytime, again, yes, I was never with him, but you played against him, you saw him in warm-ups and stuff like that, so the guys that are just a little bit different when the ball's in the air and how they contort their body and just go up and get it like basketball players, so again, he's north of 30, but the way he's out there, it doesn't look like it, he's got a lot of juice in the tank, and it's been fun to watch.
What did your brother say to you when this deal came through?
I had to keep it quiet, right? So,
but once it was finalized,
he knew we got a good football player. He was happy for Davante. They had a lot of good years there, a lot of wins, a lot of good times, and so he was happy he's here.
What have you seen from Puka so far in OTAs, and what would be your goals for him going into his third season?
Yeah, just to be, what I've seen from him is, I think, a guy that's just continuing to work on his craft and get better. I've been really impressed with where he was when he came back for phase one. He's always going to put in the work, but I think he was better in phase one this year than he was the year before, and just like he was obviously when we first drafted him a couple years ago. So it's just for him just getting into the best physical shape that he possibly can, so he can go have the best possible year he can. And that's all these guys. Just that's what we're doing right now, building foundations, not just mental, schematic, not just relationships, but physically, so that these guys can go into the summer in the best shape possible. Continue that trend, because that's a scary 40 days for anybody. So that when they come back in August, they're in tip-top shape, ready to attack it, build to it, and then get to September.
Have you noticed the difference with him now being one of the most tenured guys in the room?
Yeah, he's always had a pretty cool demeanor about himself. It's just now he knows exactly what he's doing, right? Last year, I don't see, I would say, too big of a difference from last year. I think he's always been a pretty confident guy. We all saw what he did his rookie year. He's naturally just a leader just by the way he goes about it, his process and himself. And you guys see the infectious smile that this guy always has, So now he's in a good spot, and we're lucky to have him.
Where is Stetson at this point? How do you see his growth?
A ton of growth, particularly from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of credit to him, working on what he needed to work on. to get himself into this situation. But a ton of credit to Dave going to, and I'll say even Jimmy and Matthew. I think they've done a great job of just kind of putting armor on them, mentoring them. What awesome two quarterbacks to learn from that have won a crap ton of games in this league. So really proud would be the wrong word, but for lack of a better term, proud of where he's at, and he's just continuing to go.
Is he ready, in your opinion, to do what he needs to do?
He needs to play just football, right? So we're out here again. We're out playing flag football in shorts right now, but I know this. He's going about his process in a professional way each and every day to give himself the best chance when he inevitably gets his ops in August, in the preseason.
Have you been to Hawaii?
I have twice.
What are you most looking forward to? Because it doesn't seem like there's going to be a ton of football.
You want to talk off the record? Or no, we went in 2018, going into that 19. We went twice to Maui actually, and had a great time. I was with my wife one time, and then the whole family, brothers and her brother and nephews and stuff like that. So good time, great food there. Obviously awesome weather. Haven't been back since. So it'll be it'll just be fun to just be with the guys, be with other families, be with all the kids and all the kids running around and stuff at the hotel. I don't really know what the schedule looks like. I'm not really concerned. It's just I'll just kind of get in order and go from there.
You mentioned because if you're better, what's an example of that?
Say that.
You mentioned because if you're better now, what's an example?
Yeah, I just think he's just fine-tuned some things. I think if we watched his routes on air from a year ago, I think he's cutting a little bit better than he was a year ago. I think he's breaking down a little bit better. I think he's always had incredible hands. That's an elite skill set of his on top of toughness and his physicality. But I think he's even more confident in it. I joke that he swallows the football. And he's looking for the next move before he even catches it. And a lot of people see it through. It's like not when you have those kind of skill set. That's why he's unique and I'm not, right? So that's I guess a couple of things.
What do you want to see from him as he gets re-signed and potentially getting a bigger role?
Yeah, just go out and be the best 2-2 you can be. We all know what his superpower is. Because he can run, and that's a trait that especially at his level and his elite level of speed, it scares defenses, it scares defenders. So just go out there, use that elite trait. And what we do know about him is he's not obviously in weight the biggest guy, right? He might be 155 soaking wet, but he is rangy, he's long. He's not a hard target to hit because he is loose in the upper body. You can throw it around, and he doesn't feel like a small guy. So it's when he's gotten his opportunities, he's made the most of it. And you would think the way it is on paper right now, he's going to get the most opportunities he's had. We'll see how it all unfolds, but he's had a really good off season, and we just love Tutu. So happy he's back with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.